As the human drama on the southern border continues to play out, Central American countries are preparing to step up the military presence on the border. In an agreement with the Biden administration, Mexico, Honduras, Guatemala will deploy troops to stem the tide of migration. Mexico will maintain a 10,000 troop deployment. Guatemala will surge 1,500 military personnel to patrol the border with Honduras, which has committed 7,000 troops. Well, here with us now is Congressman Chip Roy. He is a Republican from the great state of Texas. Congressman Roy, thanks so much for being with us. I know you were just down at the border this past weekend with a delegation of Republican members. This has kind of been an ongoing thing for the last several weeks. I wonder if anything has changed from what you've heard from your fellow lawmakers. What struck you the most?
Well, the only thing that's changed is that it's gotten significantly worse over time, and that's the unfortunate reality of what's happening on our southern border. I've spent a lot of time down there. 3 weeks ago, I went down to Laredo, Texas, and spent an evening and late into the wee hours there. And then I went to McAllen a couple of weeks ago now, and I spent the night into the wee hours again down at the river. I usually forego all of the trappings of the normal tours, and I go down to actually talk to migrants who are coming through. In this case, I talked to about 50 different migrants, mostly from the Northern Triangle. Spoke to one little girl. She was 7 years old. She was by herself. She had no family. She was literally traveling by herself and met this one young boy halfway through Mexico. She had her mother's name, allegedly her mother's name, written on her arm. And that was the only connection she had. This is what we're doing. We're allowing human beings to be trafficked by dangerous cartels for profit. That is what the Biden administration's border security plan is, to allow cartels to be empowered, cartels to use people for profit while moving dangerous narcotics while our Border Patrol is distracted. They're doing it, I think, intentionally for crass political purposes. And what I saw on the border was horrific in terms of what it means for actual human beings, American citizens endangered by dangerous narcotics and cartels, as well as migrants seeking to come here being abused as political pawns by the Democratic Party. And if you question whether or not the cartels are reaching into your communities, you shouldn't. I talked to the district attorney of Boerne, Texas, which is a suburb of San Antonio. And she had a carload of 9 immigrants, 5 of whom were being headed and sent to a stash house in Houston to be put into the human trafficking trade, the sex trafficking trade, and slave labor. There was a boy there who paid $4,000 to the cartel during the rest day in Nuevo Laredo to go pick grapes in California. But he was being sent to Houston to be held for ransom.
So, Congressman, let me ask you this. Do you think this announcement from the White House about increased military presence at these other countries' borders will help actually stem the tide of migrants?
Well, I think it's pretty laughable that the Biden administration's plan involves asking other countries to go down and secure their border with their military personnel rather than doing what we should do to secure our own border. If we simply did what the previous administration was doing and go further by ensuring that we were returning people to Mexico and enforcing our Title 42 health code provisions with respect to the COVID virus, as well as actually using asylum laws the way they're supposed to be used, which is if you have a claim for religious persecution or political persecution, you might have a claim for asylum. That's only about 7% of those who end up across our border. If we were actually enforcing our laws, the pressure drops immediately. But what we have instead is an incompetent regime who's now looking to Mexico and countries in the Northern Triangle to enforce their borders using military personnel that are, frankly, all under the corrupt regime of narco-terror states. Mexico is run by cartels. Make no mistake about it.
Congressman Roy, we only have a little under a minute left. I want to get your take on this pay-to-stay-away plan.
Well, look, the idea that we're going to now try to use dollars in order to encourage people not to come, rather than just enforcing the law, is the kind of backwards, foolish thinking this administration is doing that is harming American citizens, endangering Texas because of cartels, and harming immigrants. I can't tell you enough. Human beings on our border being traded for money, put into the sex trafficking trade because this administration refuses to do the basic job of securing its border is absolutely mind-numbingly stupid. And they should be ashamed of themselves for abandoning their constitutional duty to secure the border.
All right. Congressman Chip Roy from Texas, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you all.